Okay, day 3, we're going to continue talking about volume and surface area, but today we are talking about pyramids and cones. It's very similar to last class. As a review, last class we talked about the volume of prisms and cylinders, and how the volume is the area of the base times the height in both of these cases. Today, we take this prism and we just kind of truncate it. So we are cutting off parts of it so that it comes to a point at the top. When we do that, we take a third of the volume away. So today, if it comes to a point, the volume is 1/3 area of base times height. I'll put here, can divide by 3 or multiply by 1/3. They're the same thing. So if you want to do area of the base times the height and then divide by 3, that's fine. So for this specific pyramid, if this was the length, that was the width, and it was this high, the volume would be 1/3 times length times width times the height. Ooh. Okay, that's better. Cone is the same thing. It's 1/3. The area of the base is always going to be pi r squared because it's a circle. And we have times h. Okay, so first example. So designer, he's allocated 1,000 feet of space for each person. How many people is the hotel designed to hold if it's filled to capacity? So we are going to figure out the volume of each of these two places. And then, I think this is supposed to say hotel maybe. But it doesn't matter. We're going to find the volume of Luxor and the volume of this one as well. And then divide by 1,000 feet per person to see how many people there are going to be. So, volume of, let's do the Luxor first. It's going to be 1/3. The area of the base is 360,000. And the height is 350. Punching that into my calculator. I'm going to do 360,000 times 350, and then take that and divide by 3. That gives me 4 million, or 42 million, let me count. It's 4200000. So 42 million. That is how much space the whole thing is. They need 1,000 feet per person. So I take 42 million, divide it by 1,000 feet per person, and that's going to knock out all those zeros, and we get 42,000 people can fit there. The other one, Khufu, volume is 1/3. The area of the base is larger. This one's going to be bigger. 570,025. And the height is 455. I multiply that. Divide it by 3. Gives me 8, 6, 4, 3, 7, 9, 1.67. And then I'm going to take that and divide it by 1,000 for the number of people. I'll rewrite that 8645. And this will give me the amount of people that this one holds. So dividing by 1,000, I move the decimal point over 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be right after the 3. I put 86,453.8 people. So it can't hold an 8/10 of a person. So it just holds 86,453 people. Okay, moving on. Number 2, find the volume of the cone-shaped sand pile. So we have this sand pile right here that we're going to find the volume of. Our formula is volume equals 1 over 3 pi r squared h. The height is 3.4, so that's h. The diameter is 3.2, so that means the radius is 3.2 over 2, which is 1.6. So 1/3 pi 1.6 squared times 3.2. Punching that in my calculator, I do 1.6 squared times 3.2. Divide that by 3, and that gives me 2.73 pi. If I want it in terms of pi, I leave it like that. If not, I multiply by pi and get 8.58 cubic inches for that pile of sand. A sugar ice cream cone at Dairy Queen is 4 inches tall. So ice cream cone. It's going to be a cone. 4 inches tall and has a diameter of 2 inches. So all the way across is 2, and then it is 4 inches tall. Versus a waffle cone that holds 1.5 times more. So the waffle cone is bigger, so I'm going to draw it bigger. Its diameter is 4 inches. We're wondering how tall it is. Okay, so if we can find the volume of this, we know the volume of that one, because we could just multiply by 1/2. So I'm going to get to work finding the volume of my small one. We have 1/3 pi. The diameter is 2, so that means that r equals 1. So 1 squared times h is 4. 1 squared is 1. We just do 4 divided by 3, which is 4/3 pi. And I'm going to leave it just like that. The volume here of this one is 1.5 times that volume. So 1.5 times 4/3 pi. So I have 4/3 and then multiply by 1.5. I get 2. I thought that that would come out to a nice number, so that's why I left it in terms of a fraction instead of changing it to a decimal. So the volume of this guy is 2 pi. And I want to know how tall, so what is h? I'm going to still use my volume formula. The volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. Plug in 2 pi for my volume. My radius is 2. The diameter is 4 all the way across. So the radius is 2 squared, and I don't know h. When I have pi on both sides, those can divide to 1. And I'm left with 2 is equal to 1/3 times 2 squared is 4 times h. So this, come up here, I now have 2 equals 4, 1/3 times 4 is going to give me 1.33 h. Divide both sides. And we get 1.5. Okay, moving on. Number 4. What is the difference in volume for the 2 pyramids below? So we're going to find the volume for the 2 pyramids and then take the difference. So that means I'm going to subtract. So pyramid A, let's start there. Volume of a pyramid. I'm going to go back to the top, 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So 1/3 area of the base times the height. I'm going to do 31,500 times 177 divided by 3. That gives me 1,858,500. Pyramid B, same thing, 1/3. Area of the base is larger, it's 52,147, but the height is shorter. I'm going to do 52,147 times 87 divided by 3. And I get 1,512,263. Subtract the 2 to find the difference. And you get 346,237. And that is it for the volume. We're going to move on to surface area on the next page now. Okay, so next page, surface area. Same concept as before, it's just the area of the base and the faces put together. The one thing that you need to know is the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so surface area here. Area of the base is going to be a square. It's 12 by 12. So 144. The area of the triangles is going to be 1/2. The base is 12, and the height is 11.66. Going to be 69.96. There are 4 triangles, so when I add this up, the surface area is going to be 144 for the base, plus 4 times my triangle area. I got 423.84. The surface area of the cones is not something that we are going to do today. Hopefully we'll get to it next class. I want to get into our mixed practice. So, not today, maybe next class. So we have 4 problems down here, all mixed. We have a prism. Let's go ahead and just name them. We've got a prism. We have a cone. We have another prism, or a box, and we have a pyramid. Some ask for the volume, one asks for the surface area. This one gives you the volume and asks for you to find x, or the radius. So, the volume of a box is just length times width times height. 5 times 8 times 2. Doesn't matter which is which, because multiplication doesn't matter the order with which you do it in. So that is going to be 80 cubic inches. Now we have a cone here. We're given the volume. Think volume of a cone formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. We know volume. H is 7. We don't know r. R is what we're looking for, x. So I'm going to plug in what I know. 21 pi equals 1/3 pi. R is going to be x, and h is 7. So when you have pi on both sides, they divide to 1. I'm going to simplify the right-hand side. So I have 21 equals 7 times 1/3 is 7/3 x squared. Divide both sides by 7/3. If you want to change that to a decimal, you can. But when you do that, you get 9 equals x squared. So if 9 equals x squared, take the square root of both sides and you get 3 for your radius. The prism surface area is the area of all of these squares put together. So let's see. The bottom square is a 10 by 3 square. And there's the bottom and the top that are equal. So I'm going to say 2 times 10 times 3. Plus, I'm going to have to go down to this next row. 2 times, I'm going to do the left and the right side, 3 times 6. Plus 2 times, I've done the bottom and the top, I've done the right and the left, so I need to do the front and the back now. The front is 10 by 6. If you notice, I took all 3 numbers and paired them up with each other. So I paired up the 10 and the 3, I paired up the 3 and the 6, and then I paired up the 10 and the 6. So that's going to be 30 times 2 is 60, plus 18 times 2 is 36. 60 times 2 is 120. So 180, I think that's 216, yep. So that gives you 216. And then finally, find the volume of this pyramid. I'm going to write down the formula, 1/3, the area of the base. So 1/3, the area of the base is length times width times the height. It's a square base, so it's 11 times 11, and the height is 11. 11 times 11 times 11 is 1,331, and then I'm going to divide that by 3 to get 443.67. And that is it for day 3.